The Impact Factors E3 Special.
Alright, welcome everyone to the final day of the Impact Factors Special E3 2015 coverage, reactions, thoughts, and everything. A recap of the biggest news from the day, my thoughts, my reactions. I'm repeating myself. Let's get into it. We have a decent number of things to talk about today on a decidedly less exciting day 1 by official nomenclature, or day 2 by my nomenclature of E3 2015. The news began this morning with Nintendo, moved on very quickly to SquareEnix, and then we had the PC gaming show ran by PC Gamer just finished as I was setting this up. I actually started getting this set up before the PC gaming show ended, but we'll get to that. Oh, God, it was rough. Alright, so let's go through some of the big things. I mean, it still cannot really quell my excitement from yesterday. Oh my gosh, E3 Day 0 or E3 Day 1, whatever you want to call it, was huge. I'm still thinking about the news stories. Again, please, for any of you guys who are listening to this on the YouTube account right now, my name is Alex. I'm a biomedical scientist, a biomedical Ph.D. candidate who loves to work, think, write, talk, and everything about video games. I got a blog, a podcast, all the information's below. But let's get into this. Day 1 of E3, Day 0. Again, I'm just going to call it Day 1. Let's start with Nintendo in the morning. So Nintendo has their back against the wall, and usually when Nintendo has their back against the wall, they produce some of their craziest, zaniest, coolest things. But Nintendo overall was actually kind of surprisingly weak. I didn't have the highest expectations for Nintendo coming into the day, just because Nintendo has been in this really weird gaming space ever since, the end of the Wii U, or the end of the Wii era, leading into the Wii U. But Nintendo, I kind of described it as Nintendo's press conference felt like the games they could show you, the games that would be, I mean, to be fair, they did show games, unlike Sony, they did show games that would be out within the rest of this year, within the rest of 2015 and into early 2016. But the games very much felt like smaller, less ambitious titles, games that they could get out in this time span, and less so games that really felt like people passionately really wanted to make and really did new and exciting things for Nintendo. And a lot of it was, hey, all those Nintendo IPs that you guys like, well, here's a new game in them, but we're going to do something that is not the style of game you want to see these IPs being. So it opened up pretty great. There was a bunch of there was puppets or Muppets of all these Nintendo execs, and that was hilarious to see. Nintendo is delightfully weird in their own very Nintendo-y kind of way. So that was kind of great. And they opened up by showing some Star Fox, now not codenamed, officially subtitled Star Fox Zero. It looked like Star Fox. They're working with Platinum Games, who is apparently working on everything at this E3, with announcements that they're working on Nier with SquareEnix, and they're working on Transformers Devastation, and they're working with this, and they're working on everything. But anyway, it looks like Star Fox. They showed a lot of space and aerial combat in general in the R-Wing. There's transforming features on the R-Wing. That looks really cool. Again, though, if Star Fox is their big marquee, it and Mario Maker are their big fall games for the Wii U, that's so weak. I mean, I know people like Star Fox, but it just looks like Star Fox, and this gameplay too. It looked very Star Fox 64 in some good ways, but a lot of bad ways too. It looked kind of stale. They kind of recycled a lot of the same aesthetic from Star Fox 64. From Star Fox 64, I would have been interested in an aesthetic update. And then when I watched the gameplay demo from the Nintendo Treehouse live stream afterwards, if this game is shipping, this winter, it's in a pretty rough state, or maybe it's just going to ship like it's seen, because the gameplay looked a little kind of slow and not super fluid, and a lot of the textures, both on the R-Wings, on the environment, the ground, the floors, the buildings, looked really, really bad, really low poly, low resolution, and, especially now that you can always transform your R-Wing into this walker, and you can be very close to the ground and these other surfaces, I think it's going to be pretty jarring to see this really low resolution. But maybe this is just some old build that they chose to bring to E3 because it was stable. But yeah, it looks like Star Fox. I'm sure people who are into Star Fox think this looks great. It certainly wouldn't mandate a Wii U purchase for me. But moving on. And then we entered a series of, hey, all those Nintendo IPs you guys really like, let's put them in a different, undesirable way. So it started with Legend of Zelda. They showed Triforce Heroes, which looks cool. It's a new Legend of Zelda RPG for the 3DS. The emphasis is on 3-player co-op. It looks cool. I enjoyed Four Swords, but it wasn't my favorite Zelda experience. This Triforce Heroes looks to be about the same. Cool. I'm glad they're making it. It's not necessarily not the game people wanted, but certainly, it doesn't look to have the same scope and scale as something like the newest Legend of Zelda had on the 3DS. And then they moved on to Metroid Prime, which was Metroid, which was one of my predictions. They announced Metroid Prime Federation Force, which you had the music and then the Metroid logo, and everyone was getting all excited. And then it cut to these weird polygonal, robot-y, basic-looking suits, and they talked about co-op and that blast ball thing that they showed during the Nintendo World Championship. It turns out that's part of this Federation Force thing, which is the sports game. So this is weird use of the Metroid license. No one really excited about Metroid Federation Force. Kind of sucked all the wind out of that announcement. People on the internet are mad. Don't reveal a Metroid game that is whatever this is. Maybe it's great. Maybe it's good. I don't know. People want a new Metroid game that is Samus and is Metroid, and this doesn't look to be it. And then they went on to Animal Crossing, which my girlfriend Justine is a huge fan of Animal Crossing, and I've loved kind of watching her play it and playing it myself. But they had two strange kind of game announcements from that. There was Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, which is still a little bit unclear. I guess I haven't gotten a chance to read too deep into it, but at this point they've only shown home decoration mechanics and home decoration elements, and I've heard people refer to it as Animal Crossing House Arrest, because if this is with the title Happy Home Designer, is this an Animal Crossing game that you're only doing your home decoration parts, which seems kind of weird. I mean, home decoration is obviously a key part in an Animal Crossing game, but is that it? One thing that does make me really excited though about that, and I think is important as a takeaway, is that the house, the moving the furniture and the objects in the house looks so much better. If they make a new Animal Crossing, please have this system. They're finally catching up with a decade ago of any kind of these sim games where you build your own house, where objects you want to place have this kind of translucent, silhouette or translucent image of them, and then a dotted line, kind of marking on the floor where it would be, and you can rotate them in 3D space and see how they would look. Thank God. I can't tell you the number of times that Justine would be trying to put a sofa in her living room, and it would face the seating way, facing the wall. Nobody it doesn't make sense. You couldn't see it. You just have to kind of stand where you hope would be the right place and place it, and then you have to place and then take it back and replace it. So that's cool. I'm glad that they're doing something to kind of bring Animal Crossing a little bit into more modern design. There's a lot of Animal Crossing that, even though Animal Crossing New Leaf is really great, really phenomenal, and is easy to sink dozens and hundreds of hours into, has a lot of these really archaic design choices, especially with the house decoration and the menu navigation and item navigation. So hopefully those can be tweaked in this new one. But they also announced Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival for the Wii U, which is basically an amiibo-driven Mario Party game for Animal Crossing. So that's cool, but again, it's not the Animal Crossing game we'd like to see. And it's on Wii U, and it sucks. I mean, if I had a Wii U, I'd probably get that, because I love how cute everything Animal Crossing is. And Mario Party games are fun, but just strange, again, using an IP in a strange way. They showed off some other stuff. They showed off Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, which looked crazy. Atlas Games just looked crazy. But the trailer, I don't think they did it any service. Again, I'm sounding really negative. Nintendo had some cool stuff, but I didn't. At the end of the Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem trailer, most of the title was in Japanese, so at the end of it, I didn't even know what game they showed. It was just nuts. But some of the cool stuff that looked good in the Nintendo's event. Yoshi's Woolly World looks gorgeous, beautiful, and fun, and I love how they stated that you make your own fun in Yoshi's Woolly World. Because the game itself is pretty easy, but in collecting all these really hard collectibles and difficult challenges, you can make Yoshi as hard as you want. The game looks so beautiful and so much fun to play. I love that Nintendo can really capture these kind of really cute, evocative aesthetics. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Mario Tennis games are great. All Mario sports games are great. I'm sure that one's going to be great. Mario Maker continued to look really great. Super Mario Maker, excuse me. Again, it seems a hard sell, a hard sell for a $60 game, but I'm sure it's fun. So, whatever. $60 is, how your value of $60 is relative. But honestly, my biggest takeaway from Nintendo, the best part, was hearing Shigeru Miyamoto's inspirations behind Star Fox and listening to him talk design about Mario 1-1. And so in talking about Star Fox, he mentioned how he go to shrines, and it's really fun to go through these gates, which really inspired a lot of the mechanics in Star Fox, how you can go under obstacles and collect through these rings, and there's inspirations for these animal space pilots, and that's just seeing how he can see the world and interpret that and make Star Fox from that is crazy and just awe-inspiring. And then in his design of Mario 1-1, when he was describing just this first little segment where you see a Goomba, which looks like a mushroom, which is an enemy, and it can kill you. But then when you jump into one of these question mark boxes and you see another mushroom, which we now know is a super mushroom, and it comes at you, you might think it's an enemy too because you don't know. But by the way that the blocks are designed, you can't really escape it. It's pretty much going to hit you because you can't jump through the blocks that are covering your head. Running back is going to eventually find you. But so it runs into you, and then you get this power-up. And so that teaches you the difference between Goombas and super mushrooms in such a smart, brilliant, simple way. Or like the running up the stairs in the gap. The first gap, there's a platform at the bottom, so even if you fall in there. But then the next time, the next kind of stairs, there's a death hole in there. If you fall to your death. And so it's really clever. Like, hey, you should practice doing this kind of jump because in because in Mario Brothers, you're gonna have to jump over gaps. And man, the man is a living legend. Shigeru Miyamoto is a genius. He's invented so many of the most influential franchises of all time, and that was the coolest part for me. Just seeing how Miyamoto derives inspiration from the real world and thinks about having great game design. So moving on to Square Enix. I actually thought they did pretty well for the first press conference. I was surprised. The way it looked, it was very reminiscent of those old school like Konami press conferences. It's this really small room, and they've got that teleprompter really close to the podium. It gave me a lot of vibes for that. But thank God they didn't mention that your body was the controller or that you can control 1 million troops. It was much better than that. They kept a pretty brisk pace. Of course, there were some technical difficulties. There's still some growing pains. This is their first press conference. And I did see some negative reactions, which was kind of confusing to me. I thought they did a pretty good job. So they started off with Just Cause 3. I'll state right here, probably much to my shame, I never really got into Just Cause 2. I got it on sale, and everyone talked about how great it was. I played it for like 5 or 6 hours, but the traversal was kind of slow. I know everyone likes it with the parachute and the grappling hook, but it never really clicked for me. It was too big. Like, I felt like there was a lot of empty spaces, and obviously the story is garbage, and I just felt like I couldn't do anything, even in my time in it. But Just Cause 3 looks to solve a lot of those problems. The game looks great. It looks crazy. Rico now has a wingsuit, plus a parachute, plus an enhanced grappling hook, so it looks like traversal is really easy, which would kind of solve a lot of my traversal headaches. And then you obviously are blowing up everything. I described Rico in a tweet like, it looks like a superhero game. It looks like a superhero game where your task as a superhero is to destroy everything. Like, Rico has unlimited C4, and it looks like he can withstand so much damage. So it looks pretty fun. It comes out December 1st of this year. This fall is pretty packed with releases. I can imagine myself still probably playing Fallout 4 by that point, but I'm actually, it converted Just Cause skeptic and made me a little bit excited. That they showed off Nier as this kind of this partnership between Square Enix and Platinum. I never played the first Nier. I know that game is really divisive, has a lot of mixed opinions. So I'm using a wait and see. If it's a good Square Enix game, it can be great. And if it's a good Platinum game, it can certainly be great. But I don't know much about Nier. And then they kind of cascaded into a bunch of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts news. So they show that Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer again, and oh my god. It looked... it's okay. At first I was mad that they were showing the same trailer again, but you know what? That trailer is so beautiful. Seeing it gives me goosebumps still. Final Fantasy VII is not even my favorite Final Fantasy. I am a big fan of the franchise, but... oh, man. That's so cool. I'm so excited they show that at Sony. I didn't mind seeing it again. And then they moved on to a bunch of Kingdom Hearts information. So Square Enix trolled everyone who was watching the stream by starting off with Kingdom Hearts The Unchained Key, or Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, which is this new mobile game. And everyone was raging because they just wanted to see Kingdom Hearts 3. It was hilarious. It didn't look bad. It looks like a mobile game. I would probably get it if it's reasonably priced. I like Kingdom Hearts games. I haven't played a decent number of the ones because basically there's a Kingdom Hearts game on every single console. But then they moved right into Kingdom Hearts 3, and the gameplay snippet they showed is exactly what I wanted to see from Kingdom Hearts 3. Obviously, this game is still very early in development. They announced, talking to some Disney guys, that there was going to be a partnership, that Tangled, there's going to be a Tangled level, which is cool. I think Tangled is one of Disney Animation's best stuff. I think Tangled and Big Hero 6 are both way better than Frozen, so I'm happy it's not a Frozen level, though who knows, maybe we're going to see Frozen 2. Anyway, but the gameplay was perfect. It had the mix of that weird, confusing story. It looks like they updated the aesthetic. It's kind of more, it almost looks like a painting. It's this weird cartoon, this nice cartoony painting. It really fits the vibe of Kingdom Hearts. They showed some combat. It looked very the fast-paced action, enemies exploding with Muni and health balls coming out of them that we've come to expect from a Kingdom Hearts game. And it looked, I described it as, in a tweet, again, that's my Twitter's at Alex Samoha, Alex S.A. Mocha, like the coffee, as fun, frantic, colorful, and, action-packed. That's exactly what I want from Kingdom Hearts. They had the crazy Magic Mountain, like, finisher or something we've seen before. They had this new Pegasus finisher, with Sora riding on a Pegasus cart. It looks great. I want to see more. That game is almost certainly 2017 or later, and so it's still kind of weird that we saw it for the first time back in 2014. But hopefully this doesn't turn into a Final Fantasy 15 where the game never comes out. I have faith, though, that they'll push Kingdom Hearts out, especially since they're working with Disney. Maybe Disney will light a fire under them to make sure that game actually comes out. Then they showed World of Final Fantasy, which I still don't know what it is, but I like the aesthetic. It's going to be on PS Vita. I'm going to play a new Final Fantasy RPG on my Vita. It looks cool. And then, gosh, there's a lot to actually get into. They showed Hitman again. It looks cool. I'm not a Hitman player. Showed Star Ocean. It's cool that they're reviving some of these old RPGs. But then the two kind of 1-2 punch at the end of this conference was showing Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which looks great. I was a skeptic at first. I had never played the original, so when I jumped into Deus Ex Human Revolution, I was a little unsure of what to make of it. The stealth was very punishing in the first couple levels, but then it really clicked, and I really enjoyed the open world stuff. And it was just fun to be in that world and learn about it and play as Adam Jensen and upgrade your augments. And Deus Ex 2 looks to kind of up that augment factor, up that action factor, and hopefully it gets the stealth elements right, and even more hopefully it gets the boss fights right, and those aren't atrocious. I'm really excited about Deus Ex Mankind Divided. It was given a early 2016 release date, which is now the new fall 2015. Early 2016 is packed with releases. We've got Deus Ex, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Street Fighter V, Uncharted 4, Dishonored 2, and I always forget some because there's so many things in that window. Oh, The Division. It's going to be crazy. I am almost certainly some of those things are going to get delayed out of early 2016 into fall 2016. Almost certainly. And then they announced this, I think it's the surprise at the end, this Tokyo RPG Factory and Project Setsuna, which they showed some beautiful concept art. It's still very early, but a new division of Square Enix devoted strictly to making RPGs. I'm guessing since it's a new division, they're probably focusing on smaller RPGs, maybe that go back to the classic days. Certainly the concept art looked like some of their old school RPGs, and I'm really happy about that. Square Enix had some of the best RPGs in the Super Nintendo and PS1 era, and then that kind of fell by the wayside. And really, in general, we've lost a lot of that classic RPG feel. So if Tokyo RPG Factory and Square Enix can put out some of these titles that are kind of more akin to what we've seen on their Nintendo 3DS things with Bravely First or Bravely Second or Bravely Default and Bravely Second, which is coming, I'm excited. And then we move into the train wreck that was the PC Gamer Show. Oh gosh. So actually, again, just to back it up a little, I really thought I was a long time kind of Square Enix fanboy. I love Final Fantasy. I love Kingdom Hearts. Whatever. So sue me. Deus Ex is great. I thought they did a great job. But the PC Gamer Show, this was old E3 in all of the worst ways. My biggest takeaway from the PC Gamer Show, the PC Gaming Show, was that it was slow, that it was bizarre, that it felt like old school E3, and then in every instance there was telling, not showing. E3, if you look at something like Sony's press conference, Bethesda's press conference, even SquareEnix's press conference, Microsoft's press conference, it was, basically bullet list. Bam, 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 bam. Announcement trailer, gameplay trailer, cinematic trailer, concept trailer. Let me show you instead of tell you. But that's not the case here. Everything was telling, talking, nothing of any real substance. Even the games that were exciting there, barely anything new was announced. It was the same trailer we had seen at different press conferences. They showed, again, some of the more exciting games that they showed there were Tacoma from Fulbright, Soma from the guys who made Amnesia and Beyond Eyes, and Enter the Gungeon. But all that, the Tacoma snippet was the same snippet we saw at Microsoft. Soma was the same snippet that we had seen on PlayStation stage. Beyond Eyes was the same thing we'd seen at Microsoft. Enter the Gungeon was something that had been previewed already on the Twitch live stream, so that was a bummer. There was a lot of weird talk about technical features. It felt almost like, for a long time, it almost felt more like a GDC thing where, they're not really expecting to have this kind of big E3 audience of, enthusiasts who want new and want exciting. It was more kind of breaking stuff down, and this PC Gaming Show just felt interminable. There was just, the pacing was off. It wasn't great. A couple cool things did come out of it on the strictly kind of PC gaming side of it. Phil Spencer was there from Xbox. I just love the way he holds himself and he talks about games. He talked about the crossplay. Killer Instinct is one of the first titles now that's coming that was like this Xbox One exclusive, which is now going to be on PC, cross-platform play. You can up the resolution. It's a great initiative because Sony for a while has had this kind of cross-play infrastructure between, titles will come out and you can buy it once and play it on your PS3, your PS4, and your Vita. That's really cool. But it's even almost more powerful between your PC and your Xbox One. You can have these cross-play titles that are these really huge titles, and not only is this cross-buy, cross-play, but it really has, the infrastructure of Microsoft 10 is coming to the Xbox One. It's really cool, and it's a great feature, and I think, again, it's moving. Microsoft in the press conference really felt like they're moving more towards a future where console and PC gaming are less and less separate, with their display of the HoloLens, with their introduction that Xbox One is fully backwards compatible, and with a talk of the Xbox Games preview. And then this initiative again. We've known about it, but it's cool to see it here, trying to close that gap. Because, like a lot of people predict, including myself, we're probably in the next console cycle, which, could still be 4 or 5 years away, moving more towards one kind of unified console future where digital distribution is king, but we'll see. And then on a personal note, when Blizzard showed up, which I had been waiting for a long time, that was pretty cool. They really didn't say anything about a lot of their stuff. It was just Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft. But I'd recently been getting into playing Heroes of the Storm with my podcast co-host, Charles Fliss. You can find him on the Impact Factor podcast right here on this YouTube account. It's just kind of fun. It's my first MOBA. It'll probably be the only MOBA I play. I'm not very much into this whole MOBA thing. I'm not a person also who sinks hundreds and hundreds of hours into online competitive games, but I've been having fun. There's some cool announcements there. They have their new expansion for their Heroes of the Storm. It's coming out the end of June, called the Eternal Conflict, and it's very Diablo focused. They showed off Leoric, King Leoric, who looks like this new tank. And again, for any of you guys who don't play this, it'll be a little bit technical or whatever. Use not necessarily technical, but use the lingo of Here's the Storm. But he looks like a high damage tank. He has a death mechanic, which I've played with characters that have death mechanics, both Tyrael and Uther. And it's not so fun, because obviously in a game like this, you're trying not to die. And so having a death mechanic is usually not what you want to do. But his death mechanic seems cool. I guess if he kills someone while he's dying or pulls something off while he's dead, he can come back to life right where he killed the enemy player. So that's cool, I guess. I'm excited to try him out. Though, knowing them, he won't be on the free hero rotation anytime soon, so I probably won't get to try him. And then also in the cinematic trailer for this Eternal Conflict, they showed off the monk, which at first he looked like he was teleporting all around and attacking an enemy, and so I thought maybe he's going to be a new ranged assassin. But then they revealed that he's going to be a support. And so that's kind of exciting for me. Even with the limited amount I've played, there's not a ton of great supports, and I've seen this from the tournament scene too, with the double ban system. When you ban out, when you have two bans, a lot of times all the good supports get banned, and so there's really a kind of like a dearth of like viable support heroes, at least with a double ban system. And so Monk is actually a support, and he's a healer, but he's the first hero they announced that you have this trait. Each hero has a trait, which is some sort of inherent ability, like with Uther that I mentioned. His inherent ability is that he stays alive when he dies, and he can heal people for a little bit after he dies. But the monks, you can actually choose between two inherent traits, and one allows you to specialize and be more attack oriented, more high damage dealing, and one is this more traditional support role. So that's actually kind of cool. It's cool that Blizzard and Heroes of the Storm is experimenting with stuff like that. And then on a personal note, because I loved playing through Diablo 3 with Justine, we played co-op on the PS3. The Treasure Goblin spawns on this Eternal Conflict map within the first 30 seconds while you're still waiting for the match to start. And the first team that kills him gets a gold bonus at the end of the match. So that's kind of cute. Use gold to buy heroes or buy, basically mainly just to buy heroes. So it's kind of cute and fun and a great nod to their lore. And then the end of the conference, or the end of the PC gaming show, was No Man's Sky. I just tuned out. I had seen enough No Man's Sky. I just want the game to come out. I guess the big announcement that came out of that, though, was that No Man's Sky is going to have a simultaneous release on PC. It wasn't quite clear. It looked like maybe it was going to be PS4 exclusive for a while. We had known it was coming to PC, or they had talked about it coming to PC, but never really gone into detail. So I guess for the PC gamers only, or PC gamers who have an Xbox One or don't have an next-gen console, it's good to know that when No Man's Sky launches, you can get it on your PC right away. So that's it. That's day 1, day 2. My title will say day 2 impressions. This is my last recorded impressions. I really hope any of you guys who have, guys and gals who have tuned in, enjoyed this. I give a much more cohesive version of my thoughts in written form on my blog, theimpactfactor.blogspot.com, where every Tuesday I have a new written piece, usually an article or review, a new game review, and then every Friday I have a compilation of the web's best written pieces, editorial, opinion, essay, or otherwise. And that's my section on Fridays, news and views. Check me out there. Additionally, please give me, if you like hearing my voice or you like the thoughts that I have about video games, please, I have a podcast with my co-host, Charles Fliss. It's The Impact Factor. We talk as two scientists, me as a biomedical scientist and him as a social scientist. We talk about video games, the week's biggest news. We give perspectives on editorial and opinion pieces and talk experimental methods, the games we've been playing. So check us out on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/theimpactfactor. The link is below. Or subscribe to us on iTunes. You can get an automatic download of our new episode each week. So the link is below for that, too. So again, thank you for listening to E3 2015. Despite this very lackluster way to end it, there's still some really cool nuggets of information that got released today. And E3 2015 has been really, really... I know I said it yesterday, but I'm going to say it more clearly today. E3 2015 is one of the best E3s I have seen in my several years of watching the event digitally. It's really, really one for the record books. I'm so excited to have seen it. It's crazy. I'm going to have a lot more to say. The Impact Factor podcast posts a new episode on Fridays. Look out for that. We're going to be talking the biggest E3 news. Get a second perspective in here so you don't have to hear me talk. Just me and me alone. So please, again, thank you guys for listening to me. This is the end of my kind of E3 special coverage. Thank you so much. And until next time, make an impact.